So every time you open up your laptop and ask ChatGPT a question, maybe to draft an email or just figure out a recipe, you probably file that mentally under like American tech.
Right. It feels like this very classic Silicon Valley success story.
Exactly. I mean, they're headquartered in San Francisco, so it's easy to just assume it's a completely homegrown operation. But today, we're doing a deep dive into the actual receipts.
Yeah.
And the reality is that the single biggest backer writing the checks right now isn't American at all.
No, not even close.
It's SoftBank, a giant Japanese phone and internet conglomerate.
Yeah, which is just a wild pivot when you think about the global AI landscape.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, SoftBank runs the mobile network in Japan, sure,
Yeah.
but they are notorious for deploying just astronomical sums of cash globally.
Right. So in this deep dive, we're going to unpack exactly what SoftBank is buying, how they're paying for it, and what that means for the ChatGPT that you use every single day. Because on July 1st, 2026, SoftBank wired a $10 billion installment directly to OpenAI.
Yeah, $10 billion. That's roughly 1.6 trillion yen. Just dropped right out.
Which is insane. But I want to make something really clear right out of the gate. This isn't based on like a leaked memo or some Reddit rumor.
No. These are SoftBank's own official public numbers, straight from their corporate announcement.
Exactly. And the big takeaway we're going to keep coming back to is that based on their own numbers, SoftBank is heading toward owning about 13% of OpenAI.
13%.
Yeah, which is a huge slice of a very famous pizza. But, and this is key, it does not mean they own the whole pie. And it definitely doesn't mean they're running the kitchen.
That's a really good way to look at it. Because, when you hear a Japanese telecom giant is buying up a chunk of the world's hottest AI company, people naturally kind of panic.
Oh, for sure. So let's start with the receipt itself. What exactly happened on July 1st? Like, what did they actually buy?
Okay, so that $10 billion on July 1st, that wasn't just a random spontaneous purchase. It's actually the second installment of a massive $30 billion plan that SoftBank announced way back in February of 2026.
Ah, right. So they split it up.
Exactly. They are methodically gating this money. So the first $10 billion hit the account on April 1st. Then we just saw this second $10 billion payment on July 1st. And there is a final $10 billion planned for October 1st of this year.
So they're essentially putting OpenAI on a $30 billion IV drip.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. An IV drip of just unprecedented capital. And again, this is straight from SoftBank's own press releases.
But wait, the $30 billion is just the follow-on investment, right? Because they were already in the mix.
Right. And this is where the number just kind of stops you in your tracks.
Yeah.
Because SoftBank officially stated that once this whole October plan is complete, their cumulative investment, like total money put into OpenAI over time, is expected to hit about $64.6 billion.
Oh, my God. $64.6 billion.
Yeah, which translates to an ownership interest of roughly 13%.
Okay, let's just sit with that 13% for a second. Because before this year, I think most people, myself included, assumed OpenAI was purely an American asset. Or maybe just, an extension of Microsoft.
Right, the Microsoft connection was all anyone talked about.
Yeah, but now a Japanese company is set to own roughly 1/8 of the entire operation. That is a massive before and after picture for who actually owns the AI revolution.
It really is. It makes the company so much more international than people realize. 13% is a monumental stake. It makes them one of the largest single shareholders by far.
Like, here's the burning question, and it's what every everyday user is probably screaming right now. If SoftBank owns 13%, does SoftBank own ChatGPT? Can they see my chats? Can they read my prompts to train their phone networks?
I am so glad you asked that.
Yeah.
Because we need to draw a very hard, very clear line here. A big shareholder is not the boss. 14% is a minority stake. It is purely a financial interest. It does not give SoftBank control over the company. It does not let them set the product roadmap. And it absolutely, unequivocally does not let them read anyone's personal chats.
So they don't have a back door into the servers.
No backdoor, no special admin privileges, nothing like that. They are an investor, not the manager. They want a return on their $64 billion investment. They don't want to read your grocery list or your debugging code.
Okay, that is a relief. So they are just betting on the value of the company going up. They want the financial upside.
Exactly. They bought shares, not the keys to the kingdom.
Okay, but still, if SoftBank has 13%, that leaves, 87% of the pie? So who else is sitting at this incredibly expensive table? Because SoftBank is dropping $10 billion checks, they have to be competing with some absolute giants.
Well, they are. To understand the cap table, we have to look back at March of 2026, because that funding round was historic.
That was the big one, right?
Yeah. It was basically a feeding frenzy. OpenAI raised $122 billion in a single round.
122 billion in one round. That is not normal.
No, it's totally unheard of. And that's what set their valuation at a staggering $852 billion. So SoftBank's $30 billion was just one piece of that March frenzy. NVIDIA, for example, threw in $30 billion of their own.
Which, I mean, that makes total sense. NVIDIA makes the chips that OpenAI needs to run ChatGPT.
Right.
So NVIDIA is basically just handing their best customer a pile of cash, knowing that OpenAI is just going to turn around and buy more NVIDIA chips with it.
It's a perfectly closed loop, highly synergistic. But the really wild move in that March round, the one that shocked everyone, was Amazon.
Amazon. Wait, why Amazon?
Amazon committed up to $50 billion in that round.
Wait, hold on. Amazon is the primary backer of Anthropic, right? And Anthropic is OpenAI's biggest rival. They are mortal enemies in the AI space.
Yep, they are locked in a total arms race.
So why on earth would Amazon drop $50 billion on the competition? That sounds like they're just cannibalizing their own massive investment in Anthropic.
It seems like that on the surface, but it's actually just this ruthless masterclass in hedging your bets. Because Amazon's real game is AWS, Amazon Web Services, cloud hosting.
Oh, right.
By backing both Anthropic and OpenAI, Amazon is basically saying, look, we don't care which one of you eventually builds the ultimate AI. We just want to make sure that whoever wins is generating revenue on our cloud infrastructure. They aren't betting on a horse. They are buying the whole racetrack.
Wow. Okay, so Amazon is playing both sides, so they always come out on top. But wait, bringing in Amazon, NVIDIA, and SoftBank all taking these huge slices of the pie, doesn't that upset the original heavyweight? Because I always thought Microsoft was the main money and power behind OpenAI. Did Microsoft just get pushed out?
They didn't get pushed out, no. Microsoft is still the largest external shareholder. But you're right to point that out, because their role shifted dramatically this year. In April of 2026, OpenAI and Microsoft actually renegotiated their whole deal.
And what happened?
The partnership loosened up significantly. First off, OpenAI's revenue share payments to Microsoft are now capped.
Really?
Yeah, but more importantly, the absolute exclusivity with Microsoft's Azure cloud is gone. OpenAI is no longer locked into just using Microsoft servers.
Okay, wait, that's huge. So OpenAI can basically shop around now. They can put their computational load on Amazon servers or whoever else gives them a good deal.
Exactly. They can serve customers across any cloud provider now. The tightest partnership in tech is suddenly becoming a lot more of an open playing field.
Which is incredibly smart by OpenAI. They are diversifying their dependencies, so they aren't just held hostage by one single corporate giant.
Right. They spread the risk. They get more leverage. But diversifying backers also means bringing in investors who are willing to take on massive high-conviction risks, which actually brings us right back to SoftBank and how they are paying for all this.
Right, because I was wondering about that. SoftBank is a phone and internet company. Where do they even get $10 billion in liquid cash to just drop on a random Wednesday in July?
Well, the short answer is they don't just have it sitting in a checking account.
Okay, so how are they doing it?
If you look at the finance jargon, SoftBank is partly funding these checks through what's called a bridge loan.
A bridge loan? What is that in plain English?
In plain English, it means they went to major financial institutions and took out a temporary massive loan to cover these payments right now. It's a bridge to get them from point A to point B until they can liquidate other things or secure long-term financing.
So they are essentially taking out a high-pressure, multi-billion-dollar mortgage just to make sure they don't miss out on this AI wave.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. It is a massive bet. It is not spare change for them. And you have to remember, their founder, Masayoshi Son, he doesn't play it safe. In fact, he actually came out and said this investment is part of their strategy to advance ASI.
Wait, ASI? I know AGI, Artificial General Intelligence, like human-level AI. What is ASI?
And ASI stands for Artificial Superintelligence.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So AI that doesn't just match human intelligence, but vastly exceeds it. Masayoshi Son is borrowing billions temporarily because he genuinely believes this is the next era of humanity, and he's determined to have a huge stake in it. It's a calculated, high-risk wager that could go either way.
It's kind of terrifying when you put it like that. You have Amazon hedging everything, SoftBank taking out massive loans to fund superintelligence, and Microsoft scrambling to keep its footing. It is cutthroat corporate capitalism at its peak.
It really is.
But, and this is the craziest part to me, all of this money is pouring into a company that isn't even a normal business. It's legally controlled by a nonprofit.
Yep. The corporate structure of OpenAI is genuinely bizarre.
So let me see if I can wrap my head around this. You've got an $852 billion tech behemoth. SoftBank, Amazon, and Microsoft have poured in billions, but the people actually holding the steering wheel are basically a charity. It's like a nonprofit running a trillion-dollar casino.
That's fairly accurate. In October of 2025, they went through a recapitalization and became a public benefit corporation, a PBC.
Right, a PBC. What does that actually mean for the investors?
Well, despite all these billions coming in, the OpenAI Foundation, which is the original nonprofit, they still appoint the entire board of directors.
Wait, so SoftBank doesn't get a board seat for their $64 billion?
No, they don't. And the board is legally designed to prioritize safety and their mission of benefiting humanity over making a profit.
That is wild.
Though it gets wilder. There's an impartial clause in these agreements, widely known as the AGI clause. Basically, if they actually achieve artificial general intelligence and the board verifies it, Microsoft's commercial rights actually start to wind down.
Wait, really? So the second the product actually achieves its ultimate goal, the investors could literally get cut off.
Yep. The idea is that an AGI is too powerful to be controlled by any one corporation for profit. So the investors are accepting these highly unusual, borderline hostile rules just to get access to the technology right now.
I just can't fathom signing a contract that says, hey, thanks for the $10 billion, but we might turn off the profit hose if we feel like it.
Right. But they do it anyway, because the upside is just that big. But here's the thing. All of this, the bridge loans, the weird nonprofit board, the shifting cap table, it is all building toward one specific destination. The ultimate test for these weird rules is coming fast.
Which is what? What is the end game here? Why is OpenAI gathering over $100 billion in cash right this second?
They're clearing the runway for an IPO.
The public offering.
Exactly.
Right.
On June 8th, 2026, OpenAI filed confidential paperwork to go public. They are preparing to list on the stock market, and they are targeting a valuation exceeding $1 trillion.
For a $1 trillion IPO, that would be historic.
Unprecedented. But they couldn't just do it out of nowhere. There was actually a huge roadblock in their way that they just cleared.
Oh, the Elon Musk lawsuit.
Exactly. Elon Musk sued them, claiming they abandoned the original nonprofit mission to just make money from Microsoft.
Right, because he was one of the original founders back in the day.
Yeah. And as long as that lawsuit was hanging over them, going public was basically impossible. Wall Street hates that kind of existential legal risk. But in May of 2026, Musk officially lost the lawsuit.
Okay, so the timeline is really snapping into focus now. May 2026, the Musk lawsuit gets dismissed.
Right.
June 2026, they filed the confidential IPO paperwork.
Yeah.
July 1st, SoftBank drops the second $10 billion check. And there's rumors they might go public as early as September.
That's the rumor, yeah. And then SoftBank's final $10 billion is scheduled for October 1st.
Wow. So SoftBank is basically buying in right before the rocket launches. They are securing their 13% right before the company makes its massive public market debut.
Exactly. They are placing their chips on the table right before the wheel spins.
Okay, so let's do a quick recap of what we just untangled here, because this completely changes how I view the AI industry. SoftBank, by their own official numbers, is heading toward a 13% stake in OpenAI.
Yes.
The money behind ChatGPT is quietly becoming wildly international. It is being driven by massive, temporary bridge loans and these huge, high-conviction bets by Japanese, American, and global tech titans.
All jockeying for position.
Right. So, the next time you type a prompt into ChatGPT, you aren't just using some simple app. You're interacting with a tool that is propped up by a wildly complex $852 billion global financial machine.
A machine where the investors hold the shares, but a nonprofit technically still holds the steering wheel.
Which is just a staggering contradiction.
It really is. And I'll leave you with this final thought to kind of mull over as we watch this play out. We are looking at a company controlled by a nonprofit mission about to go public at a $1 trillion valuation. What happens when that noble goal of benefiting all of humanity collides with the relentless, everyday pressure of quarterly earnings reports?
That is the million, or I guess trillion-dollar question. When Wall Street demands profit and the board demands safety, something is going to have to give.
Exactly.
Well, this has been an incredibly eye-opening deep dive. Keep a close watch on September, folks, because the entire landscape of AI is about to shift again.